I was a lousy teacher, but he was the worst kind of student. Though I laugh if the last one left standing is him.
At this point, there are few genres being exploited as much as tower defense. For every Horde mode tack on, there are 3 reskinned or rehashed tower defense releases. The line between the two is starting to blur, and that continues with the fantasy-based Orcs Must Die. Playing as a sorcerer's apprentice, it's your job to wipe out the scores of moist minions storming the castle. Like all successful games of its ilk, Orcs Must Die fosters its appeal through a wide variety of weapons and traps.
This is gonna hurt me more than it hurts you.
The story is a flimsy one. As the understudy of an old wizard, you're forced into action when he unexpectedly expires. You're his worst pupil, so expectations are low. We suggest you keep the same frame of mind with the story. Orcs Must Die is part of the new breed of tower defense games. Like Trenched before it, instead of being an invisible god, you're represented by an in-world avatar. As the apprentice, you have a crossbow and a sword as your main armaments. Both have alternate fire options that are essential to completing each level. You also gain magical attacks as the game wears on. The tile-based traps come in a wide variety, are fun to use, and easy to place. You're awarded with something new after completing each level, and the game does a solid job of providing challenges that require you to at least try every one of them. Some are as simple as spikes that come up from the floor, but it doesn't take long for them to get a lot more inventive and interesting. You can use the in-game currency to upgrade each trap. You're given 360 degrees to place them, so you're forced to really examine each level's design. The traps will only take out so many enemies though, and this is where Orcs Must Die becomes more of a third-person shooter with a melee component. Since many of the hallways are narrow, be prepared to strafe left and right while keeping your trigger finger pegged. We found the crossbow to be much more effective than the sword, if only because it gives you some distance to avoid damage. Plus, its alternate fire freezes enemies to give you that all-important extra bit of time.
I love this job.
The final bit of design comes in the form of the Weavers, who allow you to buff stats using a tree. They're not essential to completing the game, but they can make some stages much more manageable.
Hello, ladies.
What separates this game from a lot of others in the genre is the latitude you're given in completing each mission. Many times these games boil down to trial and error with one clear way to victory, but we've completed the same mission using polar opposite strategies, with each technique providing its own rewards. Eventually, the game opens up and stages have multiple enemy entry points and multiple defend points, but cleverly placed warp portals keep the legwork to a minimum. The aiming, movement, and trap placement work great, and you'll get plenty of those moments where victory or defeat is determined by the slightest of margins.
So that just happened.
If you're a tower defense junkie, download Orcs Must Die without hesitation. The lack of multiplayer is disappointing, but at around $15, you'll get 5 or 6 solid hours of play. There's also plenty of incentive to go back and try stages again using different techniques. If you're lukewarm on the genre, it's worth a look as a bridge between defense and your typical action-adventure romp.
Done and done.